Hello guys, welcome to my channel where we make videos that cover all you need to know about medical doctors and medical students. If you're new to this channel, please do well by subscribing and turn on the bell notification so you don't miss my new videos which I release every Saturday mornings. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you very much. We're growing and I really appreciate your effort. Welcome to the first episode of the series, Questions Doctors Will Love You to Ask Them. In today's video, we're going to talk about questions you need to ask your doctor concerning your diagnosis. Please like this video, comment, and also share. I would really appreciate that. Now let's dive into today's topic. Modern medicine has shifted from the paternalistic model in which the doctor makes the decision for the patient with little or no consent from the patient, but he takes or she takes the decision with the interest of the patient at heart. Now it has shifted to more of a team play where the doctor and the patient are actively involved in all the process towards achieving the best result for the patient. Doctors will love you to ask them some certain questions when you reach your diagnosis. Doctor, are you married? Let's start by defining diagnosis. Diagnosis is the act of recognizing a disease or an illness by its signs and symptoms. A doctor doesn't just assume this is wrong with you. They extract information from you to be able to arrive at the diagnosis. A doctor would love that you're well aware of everything that is happening. The first question you should ask is, what is wrong with me? Or what is my diagnosis? With that, you give room for the doctor to explain what is actually wrong with you. Many times, our diagnoses are usually our medical jargons like polycythemia rubra vera. Don't be intimidated by the jargons. Just ask us what actually is wrong with me. Please explain to me. The second question to ask is, what else could be wrong with me? A doctor usually arrives at a diagnosis following history taking and examination. He will usually have a provisional diagnosis where the doctor is not sure and will need further information either through laboratory investigations or radiological investigations to arrive at a diagnosis. So he or she starts working based on the provisional diagnosis. We also have differential diagnosis, which are other diagnoses that we're making apart from the main one, the main provisional diagnosis. All these are in the setting that the doctor is not sure. So he might have number one, he's suspecting this is the disease, and then under the provisional, the differential, and then under the differential diagnosis, you might have another one that's number two and number three, with each based on the number having more to support the diagnosis than to be against the diagnosis itself. So he or she at the point of provisional diagnosis might tell you, this is what I suspect to be wrong with you. But then when you ask this question, he might be able to tell you, okay, it might also be this or be this, waiting for when the other information is being gotten and a definitive diagnosis is being reached. By the time a definitive diagnosis is being reached, the doctor can confidently tell you that this is what is wrong with you and there's nothing else that's wrong with you. But in the uncertain stage, he could also tell you this could be wrong and this could be wrong. So you need to ask this question to be able to be sure that the diagnosis is final or is definitive. And in a case where it isn't, the doctor also informs you. In case subsequently they find out that it's something else, it's a diagnosis that it's not what the doctor initially suspected, you'll be better prepared for it. The next question to ask, which is usually difficult, is how bad is it? We usually call that prognosis. So apart from getting to know what is wrong with you, as a doctor, we're able to also know how bad it is and what are the chances of you recovering. It's important for you to know. Part of our training is how to be able to break such news to you in a way that you would be more assured or you'll be better reassured that we're playing our best parts to ensure that we do the best for you to recover. We're also trained not to lie to you, especially in the severity of diseases. It's better we let you know how bad it is and better prepare you. We could do some form of counseling, but sometimes it goes beyond us and then the clinical psychologist is being invited to be able to help you to be able to handle that, because your mind needs to be prepared for this. So it's important. We know it's scary, but it's very important for you to also want to know how bad it is and prepare adequately for it. The next question I would love you to ask is there anything I've done or anything I am doing that could have led to this? Yes, there are certain diseases that are associated with certain lifestyles. Like, let's bring an instance, thyrotoxicosis, in which your thyroid hormone is higher or is associated with people that smoke cigarettes. We know the popular one, lung cancer. And we'll be able to identify and tell you, okay, these are certain risk factors that are associated with this. And it might be something that you're doing. And in some diseases like thyrotoxicosis, smoking cessation usually improves outcome. So when you're able to know that, okay, this certain thing I'm doing will be able to improve my medical condition, you stop it. The next question you should ask is concerning the tests that will be done. Many times we run tests to be able to confirm our diagnosis. We're able to have a diagnosis while we see you at the clinic. And I had said earlier that there are some diagnoses that are made that are purely clinical diagnoses. We don't need further tests to confirm them. However, there are many diseases that we would want to run tests, either laboratory tests or radiological tests, to be able to confirm them. Concerning tests, you should ask some series of questions too. The first will be, what kind of tests or what kind of tests do I need to run? And you give room for the doctor to explain whether it's one or multiple tests that you need to run. He or she would name the test, and you should be able to have an idea about it. And some of them are tests that are being done one time, others will need to be done serially. The doctor will be able to explain that to you. The second question concerning tests you should ask is, you ask the doctor, why do you think I need to run this test? Please understand that we don't ask for unnecessary things. They're usually necessary. And if you have any doubt, you should ask us. We'll be able to explain it better. Don't have any suspicion and just keep it to yourself. Ask us. The third question you should ask is, how much do these tests cost? It's very important, because you want to know the financial implications and plan for them. Some tests are pretty expensive, some are relatively cheap and you could afford. Whereas there are some people that are insured, you want to know whether these tests are being covered by our insurance. There are some tests that are purely covered by the insurance, you don't need to pay anything. Where there are some that are partially covered by the insurance pays part of the money and then you pay part of the money. Whereas there are some other tests that is not covered at all, or they are not covered at all, you have to pay everything. So related to the cost will be you asking the doctor whether there are cheaper alternatives, cheaper tests to run. And the doctor will better explain whether there are or it's necessary for you to run that. In contrast, you could also ask whether there are better test options. And usually they might be more expensive. But if you feel that you're financially capable or financially buoyant to run them, why not? Ask the doctor, and the doctor will be able to share with you whether there are these alternatives too. The next question you should ask is, when do I do the test? There are some tests that are urgent. There are some that are not urgent. So they can be delayed or they can be postponed. Also, in terms of when, you could ask of the time of the day. Is it the morning? Is it the afternoon? Is it the evening? It's necessary. Some tests are usually better done at some particular times of the day. We'll be able to explain that better for you. The next question concerning tests to ask is how the test is being done. We might be able to tell you what sample is being taken. It might be blood sample, it might be fecal sample, it might be urine sample. Citing the urine sample as an example, many of our urine sample, especially for culture, for microscopic culture and sensitivity, we need you to pick it midstream. So there's a way you're supposed to collect the urine sample. We'll be able to explain it better for you. The next question concerning tests you should ask is, how do I prepare for it? Let's say we need to run a fasting blood sugar for you. You need to fast for a period of time. So we'll discuss with you when you're supposed to eat last, and then when you're supposed to come for the test, and make sure that you don't eat or drink in between, or you shouldn't run some certain activities. Because if you don't follow that, the results might not be accurate. So we want to ensure that you do the right things and then the right results are being gotten. The next question concerning tests is, when do I get the results? We should be able to have an idea of how long the test results will take before they are out. Some come out immediately, Some take a couple of days, some take a couple of weeks. We have our plans in between before the results come out. The last question concerning tests would be, how do I get the results? And we'll be able to explain it to you. Sometimes the results are sent directly to us. Sometimes they're being sent to you. You might go and collect them. Some are emailed to you. However it is, we'll be able to explain that better for you. Now we've shifted away from tests. The next question you should ask your doctor is, now that this diagnosis has been made, are you the one treating me, or am I going to be treated by another doctor or another specialist? Usually there are some diseases that do not need to be treated by specialists. They are relatively not serious. But then there are some that would need the specialist to treat them. So in that case, the current doctor you're seeing would have to refer you to another specialist. And usually the doctor will want to inform you about who he or she has in mind to refer you to. The decision for referral should be as a result of the participation of both of you. You want to talk about it, you make your choices. Nobody imposes anything on you. But just know that the doctor always has your best interest at heart. So voice out any fear, any reservation. Let the doctor know. If he needs to refer you to a specialist, it's important that you go to see the specialist. It's very important. Now the next question you should ask is, it might sound rude, but every doctor knows that it's not something they should be afraid of. It's asking whether you can get a second opinion. Any doctor, medicine is a science, it's universal. So irrespective of which doctor sees you, so far as the first doctor you saw is good, the other doctor would still arrive at the same conclusion. So if you trust your doctor, you might not need to ask that. But even if you ask that, the doctor is not scared that somebody goes through it. But just know that the doctor you've seen who has clerked you, examined you, and investigated you has better or has more information about you and is at a better place to be able to make proper diagnosis compared to another one, even if he or she is good and with little info, might be limited in arriving at the same diagnosis. So it's better you work with the doctor at hand. It's very important that you choose whichever doctor you want to work with and work with that. But if you have any doubts, you can ask whether you could get a second opinion. Most times, the second opinion will validate the first one if the doctor you're seeing is a good doctor, and they are good doctors. Then the last question you should ask is there any question I've not asked? You might not be able to have asked all these questions. Your doctor is aware of that, and the doctor will be able to tell you, okay, this is what I would have loved you to ask to, and give you the information. Please be able to form a bond with your doctor. Feel free to interact with the doctor. The doctor has your time, especially when it's booking by appointment. Maximize every opportunity you have, because you know you wouldn't have that access to that doctor again for a while. So maximize every opportunity you have to be able to get whichever information you have gotten, and then be satisfied with whichever intervention or whichever diagnosis your doctor has told you they've reached. So these are the questions. Is there anything I've left out? Is there anything that you need further clarification? What do you think about the video? Please let me know in the comment section. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and share. I beg you. Thank you very much.